Thanks, Shaka. President Paul Kagame's recent announcement that he is bowing to the request of Rwandans to seek a third term in office underscores a renewed trend in Africa that has seen presidential term limits come under threat. Although President Kagame also said that while he can only accept the request, he does not want to be an eternal leader. Bringing us to our question of the week, asking, should constitutions be changed to allow African leaders to extend their term in office? Thanks, everyone, for using all our social media platforms to communicate to us. A quick reminder that we are tweeting live today. Just use the hashtag VOA Rwanda Referendum. And if you haven't yet, do follow us on Twitter. Well, you had a lot to say on this one, and without further ado, let's go to a tweet from Abel Elibariki in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, who responded, no, because we are violating principles of democracy, and sometimes it may result to insurgency and civil war. We have another tweet from Chambila Moses, I think. The problem, he says, in Africa, the so-called democracy is almost not here. Therefore, political leaders decide what and when. Let's now turn to our Facebook followers. This comment comes from Kapendwe Benson Bwalia from Solwezi in Zambia, who writes, no, the constitution should not be changed. I'm happy that here in Zambia, President Edgar Lungu signed the new constitution on January 5th, which still maintains 5 years as one term with a 2-term maximum. Long live Zambia. Well, Shaka and guess your take on these comments.
Very interesting. Robert, first of all, you obviously have listened to your compatriot, Willis Shalita, talking about, yes, maybe the people in Rwanda, there might be a chance they could have been intimidated, but certainly not those in the diaspora, including you. Did you vote? And if you did, how did you vote?
First of all, I wouldn't definitely vote for Mr. Kagame as our leader.
But why didn't you vote? You had an opportunity to vote.
No, I had no opportunity. Actually, I was not allowed to vote because it goes through embassies, which will ask you Rwandan identity cards, which I don't have today because of the period of time I've been out there. And we had another incident, actually, in Paris, where one of the political leaders, Ishami Nahimana, he tried to go to the embassy to vote, and they refused him to vote. And he had everything they needed, but the fact that he's in the opposition, he was denied that. But let me say something about the third term we are talking about. I mean, it's, I read the United States statement, and they are talking about third term. Even here, we are still talking about third term, running for a third term. Mm-hmm. But when you bring back what Mr. Kagame said on New Year's message, he made it clear. He said that he was requested to lead after 2017, not to run. But unfortunately, people still think it's just third term. Actually, I've given him a name of 755. Probably even the opposition parties should think about 755, that is up to 2034. But he's already there. He's already after 2017, and he's the president. So the resources, the little resources the country has, is going to be spent actually on, staged elections again. And the same guy is going to appear anyway. Remember, the first person who actually came up with this idea of him continuing after 2017 is from an opposition party.
Yes, correct.
Yes, so how would you have opposition party actually telling you to stay on to power? But it's because Kagame owns everything in that country. And he has morally corrupted everybody in that country. He has corrupted all the branches of the government. And his corruption is so smart that even the donors are still using it.
So are you suggesting that as far as his people are concerned, he really doesn't care about that type of legitimacy?
No.
All he cares about are the development partners?
Yes, and like we said before, the development we talk about in Rwanda, the miracle we talk about in Rwanda, the success story, is it really there? That's what we have to examine.
Because some people, of course, say it is a facade, but others say it is real, it is tangible.
It's a myth. I mean, we talk about the capital city being clean, but on the expense of Rwandans, the street kids, the mentally disturbed, the beggars who are locked out somewhere in garages. And I was impressed that the Human Rights Watch picked up this story.
Well, Mariama, do you have any more comments to share with the audience, please?
Well, absolutely. Let's go to a comment from Paul Mogar in Nasarawa, Nigeria, who says, yes, the Nigerian constitution should be changed so that one term is 6 or 8 years and not 4. Too much money is wasted conducting elections. Nigerian politicians only spend 2 years working. The next 2 years are spent campaigning for another election. We are in our 17th year of democracy, but we are still hearing words like nascent in Nigeria. It hurts me a lot. Well, I guess he's looking at it from a totally different angle and a pretty, I would say, a pretty legitimate one. Well, let's look at another Facebook comment, which comes this time from Baraka Sinda of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, who writes, we are turning back to an absolute monarchy. Constitutions should not be changed to allow African presidents the full of greed of power and the legal authority to rule forever. I hate this. Well, I usually tell my daughter that using the word hate is a very strong word, but I guess some people feel very strongly about the constitutional changes benefiting certain leaders, and this time, understandably, using the word. Shaka, and guess.
I can understand, of course, Mariama, the way you feel, especially given that you come from Senegal, where a one President Macky Sall has, in fact, even reduced the term limit from 7 to 5, so he can go back home and, in fact, do other things.
Well, this is why I always say, you know, you might want to move to West Africa somewhere. You know, I think there are certain good examples that are happening in certain countries. And it's a good thing, I think, for Africa, not just for Senegal, but any other country that is trying to move forward with democracy in general.
Let me get some advice from the good doctor in London. Dr. Magombe, you obviously have heard,
yes,
again, your fellow panelists, but, you know, the democratization process seems to be working rather relatively better in Southern Africa, where you have had previously some attempts by incumbent presidents, one in Zanzibar, in Zambia rather, and Malawi, that is Frederick Chiluba and Bakiri Muluzi, but actually failing to make it. And then when you go to West Africa seems to be on the move. But what's wrong with Central and East Africa, man?
It's the area of ghosts of political indecency. You know, the political indecency that roams in the darkness of the East and Central Africa is beyond recognition, really. Or even Africa, it seems to be moving forward. But this area of ours, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, South Sudan, is beyond incredible. So I think that what we will do in this continent, what I would advise the people to do is to stand up and try their best to demand for their rights. If the leaders can't give their rights through elections, if they can't give their rights peacefully, then we have every constitutional rights. Actually, interestingly, the same constitutions. For example, the Constitution of Uganda tells people that if somebody murders, rapes the constitution of a country, the people should have a right to resist that. And I think that therefore constitutionally, the people of Uganda, for example, have a right now to stand up and tell Mr. Museveni, look, you may have special forces commanded by your son, Brigadier Muhoozi. You may now have about 1 million crime preventers, so-called crime preventers who are actually state militia, paramilitary units, and so on and so on. But you will not be able to kill 500 people on the street of Kampala, and even the world allows you to do it. I mean, what happens in most of these countries, even we saw it in North Africa, is that once the dictator starts murdering people, because President Museveni now must be saying, well, I have the tools to murder people. He says smash them. He talks of smashing them. But what he's forgetting is that once he kills 100, 200 people on the streets of Kampala, the whole world will turn against him. But more so, all Ugandans will have now to get every possible tool that we have, every means possible to try and dislodge him as soon as possible.
Well, in fairness to President Museveni, he has never said that he intends to murder Ugandan people. After all, he says he loves them and they love him so much because, in fact, they have voted for him in the last several elections periodically. Well,
I'm sure Hitler of Germany used to say people in Germany loved him.
Well,
you know, you can't believe any of that word. You know, there are people dying right now as we talk about. People are starting to be killed. People are tortured all over the place. Political leaders are being poisoned in that country.
Well,
so let him not fool anybody.
Unfortunately, time happens again not to be our best ally. Thanks, Mariama, for bringing us this week's audience reaction.
Well, thanks, Shaka, and thanks all the guests. That will do it for today's social media segment. Just a reminder that we appreciate all the feedback, whether it's in social media or using other means to communicate to us. Please keep them coming. And if you are a new fan, just drop us a line at africatv@voanews.com. Once again, our email address is africatv@voanews.com. Or post your comment on our Facebook page. Just enter the keywords Straight Talk Africa. Be sure to visit us online at voaafrica.com, or you can join our YouTube channel. Sign up to VOA TV to Africa, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at VOA Shaka. A reminder, the show is streaming live every Wednesday. Just go to VOA's Straight Talk Africa TV program page on our website. If you're on it, you can see me right now. So it's live, it's streaming. We are very serious about it. Or you can just simply watch us live on your mobile device. Just download the VOA mobile app.